Whatever you might be going through and wherever you might be, this is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. I'm here to take your mind off of things. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not giving you legal advice. We're going to sit and talk like people, as these are the candid thoughts of one practicing attorney, and it's after hours. So have a seat. Feel free to have a drink and join me. Let's get started. Good evening, everybody. This is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast, and ignore my face down below. I'm joined by my good friend, Lauren Neigeigh, who has
I've never seen this man in my life.
a picture of me and drawn a penis on it. This is a serious podcast.
This is what he looks like.
Yeah, so my good friend, Lauren Neigeigh, my best YouTube friend, has, she sent me the bat signal earlier because she was doing a different kind of a stream. And then she needed my help to join in on something about David Gingras. Turns out there was breaking news, and Ryan Reynolds has filed an opposition to the opposition, a response to the opposition that I have not read yet. So everything that I am reading today, I am reading for the first time. This is my initial reaction. I can only tell you that my first reaction to his original 12b6, it wasn't a good one.
I remember that, yeah.
I thought it was poorly written, and I thought I came away with the opinion that, gosh, Ryan Reynolds is kind of effed. And it turns out that Friedman's theory of the case, although I haven't really done a video covering the opposition to Lively's 47.1 argument, it might come to pass that if a jury finds that she was acting as an agent for Blake Lively, then all of the nonsense that Ryan Reynolds was doing and running around to various peoples and the organization to smear the good name of Justin Baldoni might just sink Blake Lively's case. It might.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I have not really read it in depth yet. I skimmed over it on your stream, Lauren.
Oh, and I've been meaning
to. Yeah. I mean, I was there for yours. I was in and out. It was like, it was family time.
Yeah.
So anyway, before I get to reading this, is my mic sounding good? Is everybody hearing me okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Lauren is eating some pork and beans over there.
Pork and beans?
Sauce. I don't know what you're eating. It's a can of something. All right, so here we go. I thought that the opposition to Ryan Reynolds 12b6. Although Ask Two lawyers were not as impressed as I was, I thought that it was a scathing indictment of Mr. Reynolds. It might not have been artfully written, but it was really good in terms of the contents of the law. And I'm curious to see how Mr. Reynolds is going to attack it. So let's get into it. Have you already gone through this, Lauren?
Yeah. That's what I thought you meant when you were in my stream earlier. I did 2 streams tonight already. So yeah.
Well, I was in your first one about Gingras. Had no idea you were doing a Lively thing.
I went through this. It was only like half an hour though. And I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna spam text Omar until he comes on the stream.
And you did. And I thought that she was like, hey Lauren, I promise I will be here at 8. I will go on your stream. We will do the whole Gingras watch party. I thought that's what we were doing. And you're like, no, we're doing a Lively thing. He's like, oh, okay. And we're doing it on your channel. I was like, well, I guess we are. And so I had to rush to set things up, and here we are. I apologize if I'm sounding a little echoey. I can't fix it right now. I will fix it on another stream. So just
You're not echoey. You just sound like a turd.
I have no comeback to that one.
Okay.
As it was developing my brain, it just never came to fruition, like a discarded fetus. Little to no fetal DNA. Never mind. Nobody gets that joke.
I do.
Some people do. Here we go. So the introduction. I was led to believe that this is only 22 pages long. And indeed, we're already 7 pages in.
Yeah, but there's only 15 pages left, bro.
Yeah, so let's do it. The Wayfair Party's opposition confirms the central thesis of Mr. Reynolds' motion to dismiss, that the First Amendment complaint is a meritless list of grievances and hurt feelings. Wait, what?
He said what he said, bro.
Okay. I'm just trying to like conjure up in my mind what
I
he
didn't
could
say it
possibly
was
be talking about.
22 intelligent pages. I just said it was 22 pages.
Fine. I'm trying to like highlight it and it's not letting me. So I'll just have to do without.
Why would you want to highlight crap?
That's just the way that I work, Lauren. I was going to do like a little, I usually take these, I highlight, I underline stuff, I circle words.
Okay.
All right. So the FAC's a merit list. I got to get my shit together. List of grief and designed to retaliate against Blake Lively for raising sexual harassment and retaliation claims. The opposition is riddled with fatal concessions. I'm interested in what he thinks a concession is. As one example, despite the
FAC, where they sell popcorn, right?
What? Popcorn?
Yeah, concessions.
Oh, yeah, that's totally what it means. As one example, despite the FAC's preposterous $400 million damages claim, I don't know, man. If you seek to erase Justin Baldoni from Hollywood, is it possible that a jury might find that he might have made $400 million but for their interference? It seems reasonable. I mean, if you're going to be like an A-lister, not even an A-plus lister, an A-lister in Hollywood, that seems reasonable as a damage amount to me. I've seen juries award a lot more than that for a lot less. So already, first impressions, they're coming off like petulant children, as they have been wont to do.
Is that why you just took a drink?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, some Basil Hayden. I thought it was necessary for
What's
today's stream.
Basil Hayden? That sounds like some woo-woo nonsense. What is that?
No, it is whiskey, ma'am.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it is. I'm drinking it neat, and I'm drinking it in my nosing Capita whiskey glass because that's the way you properly drink. And I'm home now, so I don't have to drink it in those ridiculous aluminum cups that I have at the office.
Hey, man, don't knock the aluminum cups.
No, I love those things, man. I'll drink just about anything in those. Okay.
Challenge accepted. Go ahead.
Opposition concedes that the FEC, in fact, challenges no actual monetary harm whatsoever, instead relying exclusively on a defamation per se theory that, even if it were valid, which it is not. He's trying to write like Brian Friedman, because Friedman did this in his opposition. Fails to allege cognizable damages for any of the FAC's other claims. They don't have to. They don't have to. Matter of fact, damages is a tribal issue. Like, what are they talking? What are they on about? Who's this guy's attorney? Like, seriously, is this the same? This can't be the same attorney as Lively's.
If you look at the bottom, there's be a signature there. But
I don't want to scroll all the way down there, but I did not press that button.
I'm pretty sure you did, dude.
No, it's like going off on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Does he look?
All right, I have.
What the fuck?
Does he look like a bitch?
It is literally just on my. It's muted now.
I thought I was being disrupted, but damn.
The button got stuck over there. It said the ghost of Samuel L. Jackson. He's not dead, by the way.
Better not be.
It's a quantum mechanics thing. Okay, yeah, I don't care who his lawyer is. I just know it cannot be the same lawyer as Lively's.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure it was. Wasn't it Gottlieb?
I honestly do not remember the name.
We'll find out when we get to the bottom.
No, we'll get there. I'm just saying, like, why would they write something so legally incorrect? It's just not a factual statement that they're writing that.
Oh, no.
I don't know, man. Okay, so
somebody says it's Gottlieb. So somebody said it is Gottlieb.
Gottlieb?
Okay. It is Gottlieb, apparently.
In addition, the opposition concedes the FAC does not allege proximate causation, another fatal omission. I don't think the judge is going to give a shit. What would have been the proximate cause? I want to say that they have alleged proximate causation. But I think where they're going for...
You're confused. I was confused. I was like, Omar can answer these questions. And now here we both are like...
They have to be trying to... I think they're confusing them having to prove a conspiracy theory of the case with defamation per se. Defamation per se, damages are assumed. That's the law. So he can't be taught. This is all over the place already. I'm already pissed off at this motion.
It's been one paragraph, sir.
I can't get through the first paragraph without saying this is like the worst that they've ever done. Is it just me? Is it like what's today? Today's Tuesday? Today's Tuesday,
Yeah,
right? Is it just that it's late that I'm not?
Tuesday.
Okay. Unless I'm just grossly misunderstanding, I feel like it's a pretty basic law. The opposition reveals something much worse than the FAC's failure to state valid claims against Mr. Reynolds. Stunningly, it confirms that only 3 of the Wayfarer parties have articulated any legal claim against Mr. Reynolds at all. Except there's provisions of group pleading where, in the cases of defamation per se, a group as small as 7, it's pretty safe to say that if you defame one, you defame them all. I went through this whole, I don't remember if I did this on your stream or if I did it on my stream, Lauren, but I was talking about how it's one thing if you defame like a person that works from Amazon. Amazon has like
yeah,
a
fuck those
million
guys.
employees. Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm just saying, if you defame somebody from Amazon, you're not necessarily implicating some dude in Kentucky somewhere.
I mean, you could if you're like really stupid.
You can, but there's literally only 7 parties, 7 Wayfarer parties. So if you defame one, logically you defame them all. There's no real way to differentiate.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I should probably let their arguments develop.
It doesn't get much better, but go ahead.
All right, here we go. Opposition real much worse. Wayfarer parties have articulated any claim. Only 3 of the Wayfarer parties have articulated any claim against Mr. Reynolds at all, as detailed further below. So the way that works is Baldoni, isn't he an employee of Wayfarer?
He has some executive position. I have hiccups. Oh my god.
All right. So him being a prime employee of Wayfarer Studios, if you're defaming him, then you're necessarily defaming Wayfarer. That's their argument.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying negative, if you're saying that Wayfarer failed to protect against SH, then you're defaming Baldoni and all of the other Wayfarer parties combined. That's a pretty simple argument that they made. I feel the need I just don't feel why they're attacking. I don't know why they're attacking this. It's so obviously a losing argument, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I should give them more benefit of the doubt. What do you think?
Nah, fuck it.
All right, fuck it. As detailed further below, the sole alleged defamatory statements concern only Mr. Baldoni. The only alleged conduct as to extortion was directed at Wayfarer Studios, Mr. Baldoni, and Mr. Heath, infra at 9 and 11. In other words, the entire Wayfarer cast. And the only parties even arguably in a contractual relationship with WME were Wayfarer Studios and Baldoni. But disregarding their Rule 11 obligations, every Wayfarer party asserted each claim against Mr. Reynolds, meaning that every Wayfarer party brought a federal lawsuit alleging at least one cause of action that they know had no legal basis to assert. I'm not sure they do. Not based on the law that we reviewed last week about group pleading.
Yeah.
I just think that that's fundamentally and legally wrong. I think if Friedman were sitting right here, is like, look, dipshit, first of all, you're not even quoting the right law. Second of all, you don't understand what group pleading is or means. Third of all, you're confusing causes of action. Fourth, where did you go to law school? Fifth, why are you practicing law? Sixth, why are you representing such a high-profile client when you so clearly don't have a grasp on basic? Never mind, I go too far.
Yeah. It's fine, though.
All right.
At least you didn't call him a cunt.
Not well. You kind of did.
Been there, done that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is like Gingras levels of dumb.
Oh my god, that's saying a lot.
It's getting there. It's not there, but it's getting there.
That's bad. Okay.
Disregarding their rule obligations, 11 obligations, Wayfarer asserted, okay. None of Mr. Sarowitz, Miss Nathan, Miss Abel, IEWUM, or TAG has a single cause of action against Mr. Reynolds. It's redundant. You've already said that. This is a run-on sentence. Now we have like 7th grade English errors. All of those claims should be dismissed. Mr. Reynolds should be awarded his attorney fees and costs under applicable New York law. You know, I'm certain that you've heard me say that quote by Hemingway, that brevity, what is it about brevity?
If it was by Hemingway, I probably tuned out, bro.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I did now, though.
That introduction was neither brev, it's neither brief
Neither brev.
nor witty. It wasn't brevity. That introduction was not brevity, Lauren. How about that?
Bro, don't forget to check your super chats.
Oh, good call on that. I should do that after every paragraph. Kelly Schaefer with
That
the
might be
tube says, Omar, can't wait to have you come on our channel. Oh, yeah. Kelly Steffi is a up-and-coming YouTuber, and she has reached out. She wants to do a collab, and we're going to be doing that in the near future.
I know, Kelly. We're Facebook friends, bro.
Yeah, details.
So basically, we're like super, super close.
It's like the Facebook friend episode of South Park.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, but I'm going to now.
Oh, you got to Google it. After the stream, you definitely have to.
Why not do it while you're talking? You know I will.
I know. Ricardo says, roast this fool with the $2. For $2, I think I have to. And I think so far in this stream, I've called them 7th grade
Did you get the CJ
English
one?
rejects. Did I miss one? I only had 2 starred.
There's a $10 one. It says coffee money. Thank you for the late lightning stream. Did you get that one already?
Oh, I
It's
must
CJ.
have unstarted. All right, I'm scrolling back.
You could have just been before you came into the stage.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I'm
But it was,
seeing
anyways,
it.
it was from CJ there. She's there, and it said $10 for coffee.
What's up, CJ?
Oh,
Thank you so much for the coffee money and the late night stream. This is not normally as late as I go. I usually go later when Lauren is getting her beauty rest.
Peer pressure.
Yeah. Okay, so let me continue. Let's get to the point of what this guy has to say. The claim is meritless under New York or California law. All of the claims against Mr. Reynolds must be dismissed regardless of which state's law applies, rendering a choice of law analysis unnecessary. But to the extent such an analysis is required, New York law applies to each claim asserted against Mr. Reynolds. I'm going to disagree with him there. I think that they're going to go with California law for a million different reasons that I've already kind of gone over. The Wayfair parties concede this via silence as to all but the defamation. They literally said that California law applies. What is he talking about? Did I misread?
No. This is just really bad.
I'm pretty sure that in their Wayfair's opposition, they literally said that California law applies. Are we just going to make it up as we go?
Yes,
All right.
apparently.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I've dealt
But the
with.
thing is, they had a whole another day to file this, so I don't know why they did.
I mean, they've been sitting on this for a couple of weeks. What's one more day going to do?
Well, a couple
No.
weeks because they responded to Ryan last week. Yeah, it was last week, I think, and then now his
A couple
response
weeks ago,
to
maybe.
Burrow.
I don't know, but
A week.
yeah, a week.
Top, yeah.
My sense of time is completely off. Wayfair parties they didn't concede shit, as they acknowledge the analysis must be conducted separately. What do you mean they acknowledge that each analysis must be conducted separately, but they conceded via silence? What does he mean? Lauren, help me understand.
I came here so you could explain.
They literally said that they conceded via silence while simultaneously arguing that they acknowledged that the analysis must be conducted separately, meaning they were not silent then?
I spent half an hour tripping over my words trying to go through this filing while I was simultaneously thinking, what? Did I just read that correctly?
I'm just looking for a coherent sentence so I can get on with reading of this. Yeah. It's supposed to be short. I'm barely on page 8.
Hey, man. You only
Paragraph
have
2.
pages to go.
But they respond to Mr. Reynolds' choice of law arguments only with respect to the defamation claim. That's not even true. They respond to the tort. This is going to give me a headache. I have in my brain, you know, when you're a lawyer, you sort of develop a photographic memory. I have in my brain their table of contents where they specifically address defamation per se, all of the business torts, the conspiracy theories. They specifically said that, look, we kind of parceled out our arguments. Maybe it wasn't artfully written, but if you put it all together, all of the elements were there. But if you want us to amend it, we will. And they pretty much said that for every cause of action. I'm just already, if I'm Judge Lyman, I don't know. There's an awful high level of legal writing that's going on in this case. Yeah. Lively's attorneys specifically have been excellent. Baldoni's attorneys have been excellent. And then there's Reynolds' attorneys. What's this fucking guy's
It's the
name?
same attorney, bro. It's the same
It
attorney.
can't be the same attorney.
It is, though. It is. He's like, I'm gonna finish this.
I don't even know what to say, dude. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going crazy, but this is literally what. All right. With respect to the defamation claim, the presumption that the state of the plaintiff's domicile will usually have the most significant relationship to the case does not apply here because all of the relevant conduct occurred in New York.
But
That is one branch of the analysis. It ignores the other two branches, which is significant contacts, whether or not it touches the laws of either state, whether or not the parties agree to different things. There's like 4 different things in that analysis, 3 or 4, if I'm remembering correctly. But they specifically said there's case law that says that, look, it doesn't matter where it occurred. That's not dispositive of which law should apply. It's persuasive, but it's not dispositive. It's one prong of the test. And I'm not going to pull up the law. Again, this is my first read of this, folks. Normally, I'd be more prepared, but I'm literally running through this first.
I would not allow him to do that this time. I was like, I need to know now if I'm stupid or if they're stupid.
If I seem a little less prepared than usual, it's literally because I got
It's my
this.
fault.
I opened this like as soon as I went live, and I'm looking at this all the first time. So anyway, and let's see this. So the Wayfarer parties concede that the only statements of Mr. Reynolds alleged in the first amended complaints were the predator statements. Yeah, that's defamation per se. Well,
I
the
like to
FAC,
say predator statements because it's like you're actually that much of a dick that they're saying predator statements. You're actually such an asshole, but okay.
I mean, among other things, there are a lot of things, which the FAC claims were uttered in New York. The FAC expressly alleges that the Wayfarer party's injuries were experienced in New York, even if some portion of the alleged injury occurred elsewhere, where the alleged conduct and alleged injury take place in different jurisdictions. Could I read that? Is that me or is it that sentence? Even if some portion of the alleged injury occurred elsewhere, where the alleged conduct and alleged injury take place in different jurisdictions, it is the place of the allegedly wrongful conduct that generally, dipshit, has superior interest in protecting the reasonable expectations of the parties who relied on the laws of that place to govern their primary conduct, and in the admonitory effect that applying its law will have on similar conduct in the future, except Hollywood is a unique animal. And it just so happens that California happens to be like the capital of Hollywood movie making. Well, of course, of movie making in general. I don't know what the ratio of movies made in New York versus California is, but I know that there's a significant number of movie studios that are stationed in California. Matter of fact, isn't Wayfarer a California entity? Or am I remembering that wrong?
I think so. I'm pretty sure they wrote that somewhere.
Even so, Ryan Reynolds was an agent of Blake Lively. He was an employee of Blake Lively. Blake Lively has taken advantage of the laws of California. She has cited the laws of California. She has argued that the laws of California should apply. So he's defeated by his own wife's pleadings.
Yep.
And so it's not a question of where it took place, if it's going to affect you most in freaking New Hampshire or in London or some other place where everybody has bigger stakes. And I don't know, but I just feel like there's 3 different major parties in this case that are arguing that California should apply. And I think that the fact that Lively availed herself of California law, that everybody seems to be conceding that fact, but for Ryan Reynolds, dipshit attorney, who I guess is the same attorney as Lively. Is that right? It can't be true.
I really think it is.
They cannot be the same writers, though.
If we go to page, hang on, wait, you know what? I can pull it up right here. Hang on.
Okay.
I got it right here. Let me look at the bottom. Yep, Michael J. Gottlieb, same attorney.
Okay. You know what? Maybe I'm the asshole. Maybe it's what's going on.
No,
Maybe
dude,
I'm the fucking guy that doesn't know what he's talking about.
this is very confusing.
Okay. So they're arguing that New York law should apply. There's an argument that New York law should apply. I just don't think it defeats the California argument. And the fact that the majority of these parties seem to be conceding that California is going to win out, I think is going to control. And the fact that I think it's huge that Lively, remember what Anita's theory was? Her
Yeah.
theory was that she felt that there was a lawsuit coming her way for conspiracy, defamation, whatever. And she prophylactically filed this SH claim specifically in the state of California because of the protections under 47.1. And if they're going to avail themselves of California law, and where so much of this contractually is tied to California law, I just cannot see where Lyman's just going to be, oh yeah, definitely New York applies. I just don't see that. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna put my PJs on, bro. I'll be right back.
Oh, you're going to wear pants this time?
No.
All right. All right. So the Wayfarer parties confirmed that the FEC identifies only the two predator statements as the basis for the defamation claims as Baldoni, while concluding these allegations are sufficiently specific to identify the statements. They exclusively rely on the supplemental allegations embodied in their Exhibit A in support of this proposition. There's nothing wrong with that. But Exhibit A is not part of the FAC. It was attached, and they referenced it and pled to it as an attachment. I don't understand why they're saying that. Whether struck or not cannot be properly considered in assessing the sufficiency of the Wayfarer party's defamation claims. The FAC does not sufficiently identify what Mr. Reynolds said, called him a sexual predator, defamation per se. When he said it or to whom he said it, which is fatal to the defamation claims, it isn't. It's just not. It's just not. Specifically, what was the arguments? They had cited case law where, look, this early, when you have suspicions that somebody is maliciously conspiring to maliciously defame, you might not have all of the defamatory statements in full view of your investigative lens at the time of your filings. But should it come to pass through discovery or further investigation that you find out about separate defamatory statements, those statements are not barred from coming in because you didn't plead them at first. You could not have known about those statements, but they identified one. Then they identified and called it defamation per se to call Baldoni a sexual predator. That's all they needed. Now they're in. And then they alleged conspiracy, a malicious conspiracy to erase Baldoni from the film and to erase him from Hollywood. Now, you're not, because it's a conspiracy, and most of the time conspiracies require secrecy, you're not going to have all of the facts in the initial complaint or the First Amendment complaint, maybe not even in the Second Amendment complaint. Chances are that you're going to find some things out in the course of due diligence and discovery that add to your arguments, especially if there's any truth to them. And so this argument that they're somehow barred because they haven't all been identified, I just feel like they know that this is fake law that they're quoting right now. I don't understand how this is at all a rebuttal to what Friedman wrote in his opposition. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. All right. Let me scroll down. Hey, Lauren's back. Lily May says, Omar, don't challenge Ryan to a battle of wits. He's unarmed. Well, he wouldn't be the first unarmed person that I had a battle today.
We said we wouldn't talk about that again.
All right. I don't know, man. I know people keep on saying that, oh, Ryan Reynolds is the one taking over and writing. There's no chance that's happening. I do not see the merit at all to these arguments. There's like, if this is what they were going to file, they might as well just not filed a rebuttal. They didn't have to. They didn't have to. Like, there's no point. They're not adding anything new to their argument. They're reiterating their old arguments, which were decimated in Friedman's opposition. So what are we doing here?
How often people forgo like the rebuttal thing?
I do it all the time. When I know that I'm won, I don't. If I don't feel a need to respond to you, you know you're fucked.
Well,
Now,
I'm
in
a
this
little
case,
afraid of when you don't answer my text messages now. Well,
there's
okay.
also the reverse of that. If I know that there's no point in trying to argue when I'm very clearly wrong, I won't respond. Matter of fact, I'd probably just, for the sake of saving my clients some money, concede on some issues where the law is very clearly in their favor, or I'm just wrong about a legal aspect. I didn't know, and I researched it. Turns out I was wrong. When you do things like that, it gives you a lot of credibility with the judge and with counsel. And just in general, if people know that you're an honest to goodness attorney that will stand on integrity, it does a lot of good, you know? And sometimes I'm not going to waste my time on lost arguments. I'm not going to argue fake law for the sake of doing it. Unless, I guess, I'm billing my clients $1,000 an hour and they're going to, Ryan Reynolds probably paid like $28,000 for this motion. Probably not that much. $12K max.
Imagine if I made that much a year. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of. I mean, God, that's
In
like half of my income.
1923.
Dude. So I'm definitely gonna have a conversation with your mother about this. When it comes to you conceding arguments, when we race in her pool next month.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's a little over a month away, brother. Like,
Have you been in the pool at all?
I have. Yeah.
I have not. I'm
Not as much as I was. But yeah.
Oh, I'm so not looking forward to this.
Oh, you better get looking forward to it.
But you know what? You know what? I'm doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. In my mom's little ass pool. You'll see.
We can level the playing field a little bit. We'll smoke a huge joint first, and then see if I can find my way to the other side.
Bro, I will drown. Like, oh, it's so much better under the water. Woo,
Yeah,
bubbles.
counting on it.
All right, man. Let me continue with
Anyways.
this nonsense. Mr. Reynolds' statements are not of and concerning 6 of the 7 Wayfarer part. They already defeated this with the group pleading law. He's wrong on this one. It was the Amazon versus Wayfarer example that you and I just did. He says Wayfarer parties concede that the predator statements relate only to Baldoni, meaning that these alleged falsehoods were not of and concerning them. While the Wayfarer parties also contend that Mr. Reynolds' other unidentified statements to unidentified third parties were about the other Wayfarer parties, this singular allegation fails to satisfy the standard that they concede applies. What? While the Wayfarer parties also contend that Mr. Reynolds' other unidentified statements to unidentified third parties were about the other Wayfarer parties, this singular allegation fails to satisfy the standard that they concede. You know what? I can't make sense of that sentence. I'm just moving on.
Okay.
I don't even know what they're trying to say. Their attempt to meet this requirement through a small group exception. Oh, so they do know the law.
Hey, Anita is saying, Omar, remember my theory was that their filings were a sham trying to settle. They don't care about the case because they know they won't win, so they're trying to do damage while they figure it out.
I do remember that, Anita. I did not state it as articulately as you just did.
No, you did not, sir.
No, I did not. My brain was so not right there when I was trying to rehash it in the moment. But you're right. There was a lot more to Anita's theory than what I said. Specifically, remind me to do this. I got to post Anita's PDF at some point. Oh, and by the way, she's added to it since the last time that we did our live.
She made a YouTube channel. Let me find it while you're doing this. Hang on. Let me find it.
Channel?
Yeah, I think so. Let me find
it. Why don't you tell me about that? I would have just plugged your channel.
Well, because she knew that you wouldn't see it.
Well,
I made that up. I have no idea. All
right, here we go. Small group exception fails because even this requires allegation that about a defined group. Three Amigos was a movie once. Here, there is no such allegation that this failure mandates dismissal as to all Wayfarer parties but Baldoni. Particular, specifically defined group. Well, I think the group would just simply be fined. The Wayfarer executives, the Wayfarer producers, there wasn't like this huge company. They're specifically talking about Baldoni, about Heath, about Sarowitz. There were 7 named individuals. And I think that you could just make an argument that they are themselves clearly defined as Wayfarer execs. I don't know. But that is a valid argument, at least. It's the closest thing we've gotten to a cogent argument so far, and we're already on bullet point D. The predator statements are an actionable opinion. Predator statements constitute protected opinion under the governing law in this circuit. The Wayfarer parties argue that context demonstrates that the predator statements implied undisclosed facts and were made in an effort to force WME to drop Baldoni. But neither the opposition nor the FAC identifies which undisclosed facts may have been implied. Hey, Lauren. Oh, Lauren's gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh, if I call you a sexual impredator, a sexual impredator.
Are you kidding? I don't want to touch or talk to anybody.
If I call you a sexual predator, what is the implied underlying fact?
That I raped someone.
Yes, that would be one of many answers to that question.
It's the first thing that comes to mind.
Sexually nefarious thing.
Yep.
And so it's a self-defeating argument. That's why they call that defamation per se. Mm-hmm. And there's mountains of case law about that. They know that this is a losing argument. They have to.
Oh, Anita says, by the way, Anita says she's not trying to be a YouTuber, but there is a document out there. So we'll find it. Don't worry.
She's not trying to be what?
She's not trying to be a YouTuber.
Oh, well, I don't blame you.
Yeah, she just did it because people asked for the lawsuit.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Me and Anita are going to do another show in the coming week or weeks. We'll see. Uh-huh. But she's got more theories that she wants to share. And we'll get to those. And she did such a great job the first time. Anyway, so they're talking about this. Neither the opposition nor the FAC identifies which. All right, we already got to that part. I'm not going to read the footnotes. Instead, the FAC's allegation of Mr. Reynolds' purported disdain for Baldoni demonstrates that his impassioned comments were likely to be opinion, not fact. But when you call somebody a sexual predator, when you call somebody a Nazi, nowadays when you call somebody MAGA, when you call somebody a liberal, when you call somebody some inflammatory, incendiary, descriptive word like that, it has certain connotations to it.
Sure, yeah.
You can't just claim because it was your opinion that he was a sexual predator that you get to get away with it when it's very clearly maybe defamation per se.
Yeah, people are doing that more and more now. It's just you don't usually do it in a fucking lawsuit. Like, you just say that in the lawsuit.
I mean, I say MAGA, I say liberal. Yeah, those are almost kind of exonerated from that because people throw those words around so much they kind of lose meaning after a while.
They've lost all meaning to me, dude.
Yeah. You could even borderline say Nazi has had that same effect. But when you call somebody a sexual predator or like a child molester or like
you think rape, honestly.
Yeah. That's your mind goes to some ugly places.
Right.
And so that's what defamation per se is. The Wayfarer parties claim that the court cannot conclude as a matter of law that Baldoni is a sexual predator, but the substantial truth doctrine does not require the court to make any such determination. Oh, I'd love to hear this argument.
What does that mean, the substantial truth doctrine?
Was it substantially true that he was a sexual predator, even if it's provable that he's actually not? Was it substantially true? Was it mostly true? Would others have said that he was a sexual predator and we were relying on those statements of others? It means something like that. Like, for example, I have no way to prove to you that certain attorneys are bad lawyers. Mm-hmm. But you know it when you see it, you know?
Yeah.
That is all. In other words, where truth is an absolute defense to certain things, substantial truth may be a defense in certain contexts. So I'm curious to see how they attack this. Instead, dismissal is warranted, whereas here, the allegedly false statements would not have a different effect on the mind of the reader from that which he pleaded truth would have produced. Is it me, or is that a weird
What?
sentence? Yeah, I got to read that again. As here, the allegedly false statements would not have a different effect on the mind of the reader from that which the pleaded truth would have produced. The Wayfarer parties do not address the case's holding and therefore concede that the court can take judicial notice of Mr. Baldoni's public statements and otherwise offer no basis for the court to conclude that those statements, the pleaded truth, would have a different impact on the listener than the allegedly false ones, that Mr. Baldoni has acted in a predatory manner. Likewise, to the extent that the court finds that the Wayfarer parties otherwise sufficiently alleged some unidentified statements to the New York Times and unnamed third parties, there would be no different effect on the reader between Mr. Baldoni's own statements and those unspecified statements. So what they're basically saying is, even if you don't agree with me that he's a convicted sexual predator or whatever, or that he's done things to be labeled a sexual predator.
It's pretty objective, but okay.
In his own words, he called himself that substantially.
No.
When he said the things that he said in his podcast.
Strong
journal
disagree,
entries.
having now listened to the podcast, but okay, go
Well,
on.
they're making arguments. They got to make arguments because they got to earn their.
Do they
their
have to
legal
make
fees.
arguments if they're fucking stupid? I mean, just asking.
I mean, they're doing it, so it doesn't matter what I say. If they're doing
Hey, if
it,
you have unlimited money, why not just shoot your shot, I guess?
sometimes, your clients just want you to get the arguments out there. They could care less what they sound like.
Yeah, but it's just like there's literally video of everything that they would be alleging in regards to his podcast, and it's not saying
I promise you, there's no chance that that's the position that Reynolds' attorneys wanted to take. There's just no chance that that's true. I don't know, maybe some dipshit asshole first or second year attorney out there that thinks he came up with a big idea and it fits and it's going to be the only thing they could possibly use to argue. Maybe. I'll tell you how this works in real life. Like there are times where I'm in court where my client wants me to ask the judge something. And I'll be like, I really don't want to ask the judge that. They're going to say no and they're going to think that we're stupid. It's like, okay, but could you just ask anyways? Like, all right. And then I'll pretend like I forgot about it. And then toward the end, they're like, nudge me, hey, ask him about that thing. It's like, Your Honor, one last thing. Don't mean to bother you. I'm really sorry, but my client just wants to know, Mr. Serrato, you know what the answer to that question? Yes, I do, Your Honor. And thank you for the confirmation.
Wait, what is the stupidest thing you have ever had to say to a judge on behalf of your client?
I cannot. Attorney-client privilege.
Damn
I cannot.
it. Damn it.
That
What
would
if I
identify-
waive our attorney-client? No, I'm just kidding.
Just know, there's been some stupid things. But I think sometimes judges know that you're just doing that really to put on a show for your client. I'm not legitimately asking what your decision is going to be on this. My client just wants to hear it from you. It's really what I'm saying.
Would you sign your name on this document? Be like, this is totally a great document. No, I'm signing my name.
No, I'd make an associate do it.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm not putting my name on this shit.
Then why the hell did he do it?
I mean, they're making arguments. Arguably, he thinks he's right. He'll swear up and down. He thinks that he's right. And we just have disagreements on the law. We're just going to have to agree to disagree and just move on. Where have you heard that before? And so, hey, man, I would not put my name to this. No, I wouldn't. Just because there might have been, I mean, there's glimmers, there's hints of good arguments.
Yeah.
But it's like 98% bullshit so far.
Hey, we're only on page 12, so maybe
it gets better. Maybe it gets better. We'll see. All right. FAC fails to allege actual malice. Well, I don't think that they did. I think what they argue was Reynolds could not hide his malice in his statements, in his pleadings, and in his 12b6. He literally says that he hates the guy. What more do we do with that?
I don't know, man.
Well, to show actual malice, the Wayfarer parties rely heavily on allegations relating to Mr. Reynolds' putative motive in coercing or marginalizing some of the Wayfarer parties to instill terror and accumulate power. Yeah. Motive behind the conspiracy. But allegations of motive do not suffice to demonstrate actual malice. I agree with that statement. But if you couple that with your pled stipulated to fact that Ryan Reynolds has great disdain for him, I think that you might be able to imply malice just off of those two facts alone, but those are not even the only two facts. Moving on. The Wayfarer parties also argue that Mr. Reynolds got hold of communications between the Wayfarer parties from Stephanie Jones that disproved the claim that Wayfarer parties had orchestrated a smear campaign. This is literally feeding right into Anita's argument. Wayfarer parties argue that Mr. Reynolds got hold of communications when they sat Stephanie Jones down, or what was it, Stephanie Jones? And when they grabbed her cell phone? Who was that? Lauren's not listening to me.
No, I was doing something else. What?
Oh, who was the person that they confiscated their phone and went through it?
Oh, Jen Abel.
Abel,
Sorry.
that's who it was. It was not Stephanie Jones.
No, Stephanie Jones was the one who did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mind is not functioning all cylinders right now. But that claim is nonsensical. For starters, the FAC does not allege anywhere that Mr. Reynolds had access to any such materials at the time that we know of, and they have a right to try to discover whether or not that's true. His alleged statements were made, and in any event, the conclusory assertion that those materials disproved any smear campaign is directly contradicted by the communications. What do we call that in lawyers' terms, Lauren?
Bullshit. I don't know. I wasn't listening.
A triable issue of fact.
Yes, that too. Sorry.
Therefore, this ain't getting dismissed.
Right.
Although the Wayfarer parties argue that Mr. Reynolds' actual malice is established by the inherent improbability of an untraceable campaign, they have admitted to just such a campaign in their own words. Thus, the only reasonable conclusion is that Mr. Reynolds would have believed in the existence of a smear campaign. I don't get it. I'm not following their logic here.
No, I totally spaced when it stopped making sense. So I was trying to email someone, but no, that's why I wanted to ask you. I was like, Omar will answer all these questions for us, and now you're like, no, I think this is dumb too.
No, I'm trying to follow their logic.
Well, that
Mr. Reynolds' actual malice is established by inherent improbability of an untraceable campaign. They have admitted to just such campaign in their own words. Thus, the only reasonable conclusion that Mr. Reynolds would have believed in the existence of a smear campaign. All right. The FAC fails to state a false light claim. They're going to argue the New York thing and the California thing. Again, I'm not going to read that. Even if California law would apply, however, the false light claim against Mr. Reynolds must be dismissed as duplicative. No, because California doesn't dismiss it as duplicative because there's a slight nuance to it. Mm-hmm. And we don't play that shit in California. So nice try. While conceding a false light claim is duplicative when based on the same single statement as a defamation claim. And remember, false light is essentially the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that the false light cause of action and the defamation cause of action rely on the same facts. All that means in this context is that if you defeat defamation, you're also going to defeat false lights. But they're slightly nuanced because if you publish somebody in a false light, it's substantially the same as defamation, but the nuance is that it doesn't rely on the same things that defamation relies on.
What does that mean?
It means that there's just different elements. Like, for example, a defamation is a published statement, right? That's defamatory. But false light could mean like an insinuation, like you're insinuating something, like you're talking about somebody in a light that is false. It's really hard to decipher, but it's just the slight nuance that one is a purposely you're purposefully stating the proposition for which you are asserting that he is a sexual predator. Mm-hmm. False light would be talking about it without calling him a sexual predator, but painting him as if he was a rapist. Maybe like the Deadpool stuff or the Nice Pool stuff. I don't know.
You said grapist, and I just realized I should be saying grape and not the other word on your screen.
Well, we've already.
It's a bit late now, I guess.
But you see, it's a slight distinction. It's very slight. I understand why New York views it as duplicative. In many respects, it is. But California recognizes the nuance. And if we're going by California law, we're not dismissing it as duplicative. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen. The cited paragraphs illustrate that the FAC alleges no facts with respect to Mr. Reynolds aside from the allegedly defamatory statement attributed to him. Paragraph 162 mentions the predator statement and then details allegedly distort text messages from a legal complaint that Ms. Lively prepared and filed. Paragraphs 274 to 82 similarly discuss excerpted text messages and do not mention Reynolds at all. The opposition thus confirms that the false light claims as to Mr. Reynolds is based on exactly the same statement that supports the defamation claim and therefore must be dismissed as duplicative. Except in California, there's case law that says even if the claims arise under the same facts, they're not the same, and we're not going to dismiss them. They're two separate causes of action, but they're distinct. And just because they're duplicative, because we acknowledge that they're separate claims, they're going to be taken together. That's just how they do it. It's how they do it. So I could tell that Lauren is spaced out. I could tell he's spaced out.
You could tell they do it, is what you said. I don't know what you were referring to, but I heard the words.
The civil extortion claim and tortious interference claims must be dismissed as for Mr. Reynolds. Is this shit almost over? There's like 9 more pages. Okay.
We've gotten through at least 3 pages.
Bro. It's just so poorly written. Like, why are they writing this way?
But it's okay because I think everyone wants to hear this stuff. Is like, what the fuck does this mean? And is it really that bad?
It's just so inartfully written. It's so convoluted. It's like they're trying to. It's like they started a sentence. They want to sound really smart, and they're just trying to find their way along the way. It's like when Michael Scott starts a sentence, and he's like, "This is what I want you to do. Do not ever, for any reason, ever do the thing that I'm saying when the sky is blue and the horizon shades a hinge of orange because of the beautiful sunsets. We shall not do that thing when the stock markets crash." And, you know, he's trying to find his...
You're sure this came from Michael Scott? It feels like it came from the heart.
There was definitely a Michael Scott scene like that.
Jesus Christ.
They're asking him to explain his success, and he's just trying to... He's
like
just
I heard that on
on.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, bro. What are you talking about?
All right, so anyway, FAC fails to allege damages and proximate cause, which is fatal to both the tortious interference and civil extortion. What am I missing? What happened?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. As I look at the chat, Eliza Little says, maybe Baldoni should write a response like Lively did in response to Wallace. Over 800 pages of nonsense. I haven't even looked at that shit.
I emailed you a condensed copy, and by condensed, I mean I cut like more than half of that shit out. So 400
pages remain?
330, I think. It's 330.
Yep, didn't have time today.
Oh, really? Only 40 pages? You only really need to read 40 pages.
I mean, I do real lawyer shit, man. I was like, I was in the weeds this morning.
Oh, are you a lawyer?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I have.
I thought you were a law clerk. My bad. God
damn it. I know. Oh, it was like the most awkward thing today in court. Like I thought that the judge winked at me, and I'm like, what?
Wait, was it a guy judge or a girl judge?
Oh, it was a girl judge. It was, but it looked like she winked at me, and like, and I was like, hi, and I was like, I didn't know if she like even knew who I was. I was like, no, I don't know. It wasn't anything like that.
Hey,
I had this awkward response to it. It's like, hello.
Hello, Your Honor.
So, well, that's a great way to start the morning, isn't it?
Jesus.
As I'm preparing to argue this scathing opposition. Anyway, I felt like an idiot. Anyway, it happens.
Well, it's
All right,
always
let me
good to
continue.
feel like yourself when you're going into court.
Every now and then. All right.
Moving on.
The Wayfarer parties do not dispute that they have failed to allege any damages. So this whole damages argument fails because what they've essentially said is they don't have to know the damages in its totality. They just have to claim that they are a thing because then they become a tribal issue. And I'm pretty sure, and not just their initial complaint, but even in their amended complaints, they said that they were damaged as a result of these claims. You know why I know that? Because it was the same boilerplate language. They had the elements. They did this. They interfered with the contract. It prevented us from going through the contract, and it prevented my ability to gain future employment elsewhere, and therefore I was damaged. I'm pretty sure they did that, and I'm not going to pull up the complaints, but I know that they did. There's
Like
just no chance they didn't.
emotionally, or because I've been hearing a lot of salt towards hurt feelings in this filing, so I'm just wondering.
No. I mean, there were damages broadly, broad damages.
No,
To
I
what
was
degree?
just being a dick, bro.
Oh, well. Well, sometimes my clients ask me stupid questions, and I just treat them all the same, you know? We're just going to get through this all together.
So
I will
you
not judge
should
you
be
for
my
your
lawyer.
Yeah, proximate causation damages. Well, all right, where are we going with this? Mr. Reynolds raised this issue in his motion to dismiss. The Wayfarer parties simply ignore it. Their entire discussion of damages is contained in their discussion of a defamation per se theory, premised on the notion that they have not and need not allege special damages because defamation per se, they're automatic. The Wayfarer parties fail to address the issue in a response to a Rule 12b6 motion amounts to a concession or waiver of the argument. No, they didn't concede that. They just said, look, first of all, we didn't allege it because we didn't have to because it's defamation per se. But if he wants to amend it, then we'll be more specific. Just tell me what you want, Judge. I'll give it to you exactly how you like it. However you want it to be is how we will make it. Not like
You don't
that,
have to
Lauren.
be so perverse.
I don't know, man. All right, so where am I at? Similarly, the Wayfarer parties concede that they have failed to allege that any conduct of Mr. Reynolds proximately caused any damages. No. They do not fail to allege that. I'm not going to pull up their complaint. They might not have used the word proximately. I don't recall reading the word proximately in their complaint.
No.
But if they used the word damages as like this catch-all, I don't think it matters. In other words, if that was the only thing that needed to be amended, I don't think the judge is making them amend their complaint on those grounds. But maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not grounds for dismissal. These concessions are fatal to the tortious interference claims under both California and New York law, obviating the need for further analysis. Indeed, the Wayfarer party's own case confirms liability for tortious interference with contract is limited to pecuniary loss. Whatever, dude. I'm just out on the damages.
What does that mean, pecuniary loss?
Well, what do you want it to mean?
I would tell you what I want it to mean, but I want to know the dictionary definitions.
It's just basically a loss of money.
Okay, that works.
In the simplest term, it's a loss of money.
I accept
Like
that.
if you had like a contract and it was breached and you relied on that contract.
I
And
just kind of rolled past that word when I was reading this earlier. I was like, yeah, I'm going to pretend I know what that means.
I mean, it's just a money. It's like money damages. It's like you relied on something. You relied on a contract. You anticipated that you were going to honor the contract, and in preparation for it, like somebody hired you to do a podcast in New Hampshire. I don't know why I'm infatuated with New Hampshire today, but let's just say
what's up with that?
that you bought like equipment and you bought a plane ticket, and then you got ready and you bought like a real nice suit, like a power suit, and you were getting ready to film, and you had all this equipment.
Hillary.
Thousands of dollars in expenses, and then it's actually just kidding. Fuck off. We're not going to honor the contract. Well, you would have financial damages that may be referred to as pecuniary loss
Okay.
because of your encompassing expenses. Maybe there was lost opportunities that you missed because of you taking them up on their offer. You could have booked something else, that kind of stuff. I try to give a simple answer, and I gave this meandering response. I tried.
No, that was good. You're fine.
It's money damages. It's like you lost money.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Where did I leave off? I'm trying to find the word pecuniary. There it is.
You're with the next paragraph, yeah.
The civil extortion claim must be dismissed. Wayfarer parties assert that California law applies to the civil extortion claim, but despite conceding that the choice of law analysis is conducted separately for each individual claim, they do not analyze choice of law with respect to the civil extortion claim, resting solely on authorities limited to the defamation context. That's actually a fair point that they're making. See, they got one. They can score points too. You know, you got to give credit. I mean, I don't know how much that point is worth, but it's worth something.
The lawsuit is over.
I mean, it's true because they did focus on defamation law.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're going to do with respect to this because it's California, it's New York, and it's a federal lawsuit at heart.
Yeah.
And so if we're taking this on a case-by-case basis, I guess we'll see. Wayfarer parties effectively concede via silence. And again, no, they didn't. Basically what they did was take the defamation arguments and apply it to the other claims as well. That's what they mean by they've conceded via silence. That New York applies to the civil extortion claim because civil extortion is a conduct regulating torts that must be governed by the law of the state where the conduct occurred, unless, which is what they argued, that no, look, it might have occurred in New York, but it's going to have a much greater impact in the state of California for all of these different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the competing arguments, and I'm not going to rehash them, but that's essentially what this argument is. This independently warrants dismissal. No, it doesn't. By the way, I'm not even joking when I say that. It's not getting dismissed. If anything, Judge Lyman is going to make them amend it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. But I've been saying that for a long time now. If anything, they're going to have to amend small parts of this. And they've conceded that point as well. It's not going to get dismissed. It'll be they'll be given leave to amend. That's it. So even under California law, the claim for civil extortion warrants dismissal. The Wayfarer parties assert that Mr. Reynolds points to no authority that California courts limit the claim, but failed to address Mr. Reynolds' discussion of Furman versus California Satellite says, no, they did address this case. They said that was a stupid case to cite. I don't understand why we're citing this case. It doesn't even apply. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that was the case that they were talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you mean you think so? You don't even know what I'm talking about.
You're talking about the case you cited. Or they
Not
cited.
that I said. No, there was a case. No, I think it was in the defamation. But they were basically ripping Reynolds' attorneys for citing the wrong law, the wrong case law. Wrong case. I remember this case was included in those.
You certainly ranted about it, so yes, I remember.
I did rant it. I just don't remember if this was one of those cases.
You're like, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I remember when you go on a tangent, you bitch.
You remember that I go on a tangent. You don't remember what I said though. He's like, I don't know. He was pissed off about something he was going on about.
You don't know that. I'm gonna start memorizing your shit and quoting it back to you.
All right. I lost my place. Oh, failed to. Okay, which expressly
memory is worse.
I know.
Definitely
also, my brain is kind of fried. It's only Tuesday. My brain is this fried. That's bad. It's a long week.
Tuesday night.
I know. Instead, the Wayfarer parties continue to rely on a small handful of federal cases because we're in federal court without reference to state court decisions or even engaging with the federal cases that disagree with their position. Aren't they kind of also doing that right here? What is their engagement with the cases that they cited? I'd love to see it. The Wayfarer parties also declined to defend their allegations of civil extortion as compliant with Rule 9b, as they must be to survive dismissal. Nor do the Wayfarer parties explain how this claim would survive their general failure to allege any damages. This is just some of the same stuff, let alone deprivation of money obtained by Mr. Reynolds. What is going to be my argument to that, Mr. Reynolds is saying, the money argument? Because I've definitely ranted about this before.
Fuck, man. You say a lot of stuff. I don't know. You're supposed to be answering these questions for me, dude.
It doesn't matter if no money changed hands if the valuable thing that they were going for by virtue of the tortious interference was control over the film or future employment opportunities that they were depriving him with through their malicious attempt to defame by virtue of conspiracy and all of that. Now I'm starting to sound like them. Even if it were permissible to plead extortion while admitting that there was no loss of money or property, it is axiomatic that there could not be a civil cause of action to... come on with that argument. I'm finished with this. The Wayfarer parties rely on cherry-picked language. They did the same thing from Monix Deposit Co. v. Gilliam, in which there was a demand for money, to argue that California law prescribes extortion, notwithstanding of extortionate threats. But Monix has been repeatedly criticized and lends no support to the Wayfarer parties here, where there was concededly no demand for money or property, just request for a public apology.
It wasn't really a request, but okay.
Yeah, it's the same argument. In other words, when people start using this kind of language, Monix has been repeatedly criticized. It's because it's a good case for them to cite, because it stands for the proposition that money doesn't have to exchange hands. Look, you could lose a lot. You could gain a lot without it being backed by money. Opportunity means a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you got the miners' rights to Tombstone, Arizona back in 1882.
Excuse me?
Never mind. I just watched a whole documentary on Arizona, Tombstone, Arizona, back in 1882, with Wyatt Earp and all of them.
Well, I've been to Tucson. Does that count?
Well, back in Tombstone, they had mines full of silver, with like $1 billion of silver in the mines over there in Tombstone.
Oh, wow. That's
I
crazy.
mean, $1 billion back in 1883, and they were
I'm kidding. That's obviously a lot.
I'm just, it's more than I got. And so they were trying to like get their grubby little hands on that silver. And it turns out that J.P. Morgan took control of the railroads and decided that he was going to back his financing with silver. It was a whole thing. Anyway, there was no direct money that changed hands in that case, other than
just so
rights.
you know, this is the tangent I'm going to remember. The Tombstone. Go ahead.
It was the rights to dig shit out of the ground that has yet to be ascertained. Similarly, Justin Baldoni has lost perhaps his ability, if Reynolds was going to be successful, to obtain future movie deals, future employment opportunities that could have potentially been worth millions of dollars. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen to him the way that PR is going in this case, but it could have, and that's the point. And that's what that California case stands for, and Ryan Reynolds doesn't like it. All right.
That's my defense for pretty much everything, but okay.
Yes.
I don't like it.
The tortious interference claims must be dismissed. Contrary to the Wayfarer party's assertions that the California law should apply to the tortious interference claims, which purport to rely on allegations about where the contracts or prospective relationships existed that do not actually appear in the FAC, New York law would apply to the tortious interference claims because all the relevant, it's the conduct argument again versus the greater contacts argument, not the greater contacts, the greater impact argument.
Gotcha.
It's where it occurred versus where it's going to affect the most. Those are the competing arguments. I'm not going to repeat that again.
Yeah, okay.
I'm skipping over this. It's the same shit. Fails to allege remaining elements of the Wayfarer parties can see that these claims depend exclusively on the allegation that Mr. Reynolds expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni to a WME exec. He went a little farther than that, though, didn't he? He literally called him a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Which is different. Referred
And
to
also
Baldoni.
the "you better drop him" thing. So
Yeah. Sexual predator demanded that the agent drop Baldoni. Demanded an apology for misconduct on the set of the film. This, the Wayfarer parties contend, induced WME to cease performing under its contract with the Wayfarer parties. Those bare allegations are insufficient. That is a tribal issue of facts. This is going nowhere. As for intentional interference, regardless of which state's law applies, there is no dispute that the FAC does not set forth the essential terms of a contract, written, oral, or implied. Oh, I disagree with that. What were the contracts? What would you say were the contracts of this case? And let's even concede the fact that there's no sign. Let's just say that there's no signed contracts.
that was my first point. I was going to be like, well, there's the one that wasn't signed.
Yeah, but those matter because they literally just said that there was no contract, written, oral, or implied.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have written up a contract that nobody signs, and then people just start acting like that contract, that they're bound by that contract, well, we could just imply that they're bound by that contract by their actions, then, can't we? Or an oral contract is pretty simple. I promise I will give you, if you give me $10, I will send you this DVD.
Ooh, keep it.
I'm just saying, man, written contracts are obvious. They're saying no written, oral, or implied contracts. I don't think that that was ever the case. They may have to amend, which I'm not even sure that they did. I thought that the contracts are pretty self-evident. There was a contract to make a movie.
Right.
Baldoni was signed up to be the producer or to have some creative control.
He's the director.
Lively, the director. Lively was supposed to be an actress.
Mm-hmm.
What was Heath's role? Was Heath the producer?
He was a producer, yeah.
Okay. Everybody else had various roles that they fulfilled during the production of the film. Lively kept on increasing her scope of duties within the film while simultaneously making exigent demands that forced everybody to bend to her whims. So there was 100%. I mean, think about the nudity writers. They had things written down on pieces of paper that were the part of negotiations that bound them, that caused them to write things down, that caused them to behave in certain ways. It's just a stupid argument. I cannot make an argument that there was no written, oral, or implied contracts ever presented in the pleadings.
Yeah.
Even under California law, it is impossible to know whether the contractual relationship was disrupted through a cessation of performance without knowing what contractual duty WME ceased performing. Well, I think that was spelled out, that there were delays in production. There were demands to withhold advertising for the film. There was confusion over the editing process for the film. There was a lot of stuff. And either way, the fact that we even have these questions means that they're what?
Professor,
I'm trying to do the ask two lawyers thing where that guy asked the guy questions. And he's like, oh yeah, it was definitely.
But Professor, you're talking to a moron, so you have to keep that in mind.
Those are definitely tribal issues of law.
I did not catch that. I was just going to be like, wild ass shit.
Well, we're doing a poor ask two lawyers impression right now.
Maybe we should just be something else.
I know. Well,
they do that better.
It's the Omar and Lauren show. You never know what you're going to get on one of these
Not
streams.
the answers to your questions, that's for sure.
You're going to get the answer to some questions. Oh, what did we say in the green was like, oh, Lauren, look at you. Like, because you had that picture of my face with a penis on it. It's like, how dare you do that? I went so far as to find a real nice picture of you. And I even put it on my thing. You're like, please don't ever say that again. It's like,
well,
you know
I
what I
found a
meant.
real nice picture of you right there, and clearly you can see I put it on my thing. So,
yes, you did. All right. It is impossible to know. Is this the contractual, yeah. Moreover, the absence of any allegation that the contract was not at will means that this claim will be dismissed under New York law or if California law applies, must satisfy the elements of intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. I think we could do that pretty easily for the reasons that I've already said, so I'm not going to rehash. Prospective meaning possible future endeavors.
I knew that one.
Yeah, economic advantage elements apply and shut up. FAC does not allege the independent elements of intentional interference with economic advantage. Indeed, the FAC does not allege a single economic relationship lost because of the alleged interference with the WME relationship.
Wait, that's not even correct.
No, it's not.
No, because they said in that last response they like had proof of like people were going to like talk about projects or whatever, but then WME stopped doing their part. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
No. That counts. That counts. Yeah. That counts. He's been affected, even if they've reversed course. And I'm not even sure that they have, but no, he's pled that. Look, a lot of this stuff I'm just kind of disregarding because they obviously are saying shit just to say it. Mm-hmm. Because you could point to stuff where I don't know, because in the First Amendment, I remember where they said. And so they're not getting one over on Judge Lyman with this stuff. I assure the court that discovery is likely to show that, wait a minute. Indeed, the FAC does not allege a single economic relationship lost. The Wayfarer parties assure the court that discovery is likely to show that there were specific interested counterparties inquiring with WME to engage the Wayfarer parties. But that is their pleading burden, not a set of facts that they are entitled to wait for the discovery to allege. I disagree with that. They could say on information and belief that they believe that happened, and they reserve the right to amend their complaint when they figure out exactly what went on. They're just wrong. They're just wrong. I'm not even going to explain it. Nor does the FAC allege an independently wrongful act as required to state a claim for interference with prospective economic advantage, even if defamatory statements could serve as such an independently wrongful act. Here, the statement at issue is not tortious and therefore not wrongful for the reasons stated above. I disagree that defamation per se would not be seen as a tortious act or a tortious wrongful act. They're just, I disagree. Moreover, by seeking to recover for that statement in defamation and tortious interference, the Wayfarer parties are seeking a double recovery that renders the intentional interference claim duplicative. Oh, come on now. Show me the case law that says that. They're saying that they're trying to collect damages for defamation. Basically, they're trying to collect damages for separate causes of action.
Okay.
But damages are always an issue for the jury to decide. And it just might be the fact that they, through their defamation, they interfered and were guilty of this other business tort cause of action that also incurred damages. They could be the same damages. They could be. It's up to a jury to decide that. It doesn't make them. And again, they're not even citing a case about why this is. They're not even citing a case to support this assertion. They're just pulling it out of their ass. Finally, with respect to negligent interference, the Wayfarer parties expressly concede that California law does not or does require a plaintiff to plead a duty of care. Yeah, they did kind of fuck up the duty of care thing. They're going to have to probably ferret that out a little bit more in an amended complaint. The Wayfarer parties speculate that a contract between Mr. Reynolds' company and an unspecified Wayfarer party may have created such a duty, but refuse to say anything about this contract beyond their abstract speculation. This concession alone warrants dismissal. It does not. Failing to allege conspiracy liability. Wayfarer parties do not dispute that all of their conspiracy allegations are made on information and belief, or that such allegations are insufficient to allege conspiracy liability. Instead, they simply assert that they have pleaded ample allegations in connection with each cause of action against Reynolds to support the existence of a conspiracy at the pleading stage In other words, they basically said that, look, we were kind of sloppy about it, but we did it.
Hmm.
But they mentioned only one such allegation, namely that Reynolds and Lively made a joint threat to attack the Wayfarer parties in the press. That Mr. Reynolds and Miss Lively had requested a public apology for misconduct on the set of the film, even taken as true that allegation of joint act. That wasn't all that they said. It was all the other stuff that we've been talking about as well. And the aggregates, I think, forms the conspiracy. And really what the conspiracy, I think that's where Anita's work is so important. Because she kind of just started trying to put this all together based on communications that were inherent in the pleadings. And why I think that Anita's work is so important is because it gives a written, it's basically like reading a journal. You could just put it on a timeline and kind of see how people were acting back then to how they were acting at different points in time. And you kind of see the formulation of a conspiracy start to unfold. And I suspect that if they do have to amend the complaint, and they've already said they got more facts to plead, that they will probably ferret that out a little bit better. But grounds for dismissal, not a chance.
Good.
Even if it relates only to the civil extortion claim, as to which the FAC alleges no damages, not to each cause of action. All right. Mr. Reynolds is entitled to attorney fees. Wayfarer parties do not dispute that New York law applies to Mr. Reynolds' entitlement to anti-SLAPP attorney fees, but instead incorrectly claim that Section 70A1's fee-shifting provision does not apply in federal court. The Wayfarer parties concede that the Second Circuit has not directly addressed the question of whether, well, it doesn't apply in federal court because it would violate rules 11, not 11. Was it 12 and 52?
I don't know.
That
You
was
know,
the
I don't
argument.
know.
It violated federal rules like 11 or 12. I think it was 12 and 52. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, go back and I don't remember if I did that on your stream or said that on your stream or on mine. Maybe both.
Yeah, it could be both.
If I said it on your stream, you clearly don't remember, so it just
I
further
remember
hammers home.
every word you've ever said, sir.
I mean, all the bad words at least.
Those are the ones. Yep.
Yeah. All right. But law liberty itself perfectly illustrates the relevant
Was this
distinction.
La Liberty? I've been saying La Liberte.
I don't know, man. Maybe yours is right.
Maybe next time I'll just say Nacho Libre or something.
Liberte? You didn't know Liberte, man. It sounds like a gringo trying to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Which I am.
That's what it sounds like.
It illustrates perfectly illustrates the relevant distinction. They're the Second Circuit reason that California's anti-SLAPP statute awards attorney fees only to a prevailing defendant on a special motion to strike, and does not purport to make attorney fees available to parties who obtain dismissal by other means. So I was right. It was Rule 12, such as Federal Rule 12b-6. By contrast, Section 70A does not condition an award of attorney's fees solely upon prevailing under the can't even talk. Section 70A
You sounded fine. I don't know what the problem
does
is.
not condition an award of attorney's fees solely upon prevailing under the procedural provisions of New York's anti-SLAPP statute as opposed to under federal law. Thus, New York anti-SLAPP law does not have the feature of California's law that the law liberty court considered fatal to its application in federal court, a provision tying fee shifting to a specific state procedural mechanism. In this scenario, applying mandatory fee shifting in federal court is unproblematic. I actually have no idea which way the court's going to rule on that one. I have no idea, because they actually both make reasonable points here. The Wayfarer party insists that enforcing New York's fee shifting provision would automatically sanction any plaintiff whose non-frivolous defamation claims failed on a Rule 12b-6 motion, but that does not accurately describe the consequence of shifting fees under Section 70A1. It would apply not to any plaintiff who files a non-frivolous defamation claim, but every plaintiff who files a SLAPP claim and cannot even survive the 12b-6 standard. And while loser pays regimes may be rare in the United States, New York law is designed to deter strategic lawsuits against public participation and thereby protect the free exercise of speech, petition, and association, including by requiring SLAPP plaintiffs to bear the cost of meritless claims like those found in the FAC. So they're saying that the distinction is that it would not apply to any plaintiff who files a non-frivolous defamation claim, but every plaintiff who files a SLAPP claim and cannot even survive the 12b6 standard. Well, I guess if they survive the 12b6 standard, it's kind of a moot point then, isn't it? So who gives a shit? All right, leave to amend should be denied. The Wayfair, how are we going to argue this? Oh, good, we're done.
Almost.
The
Almost
Wayfair
there.
parties chose to amend as of right before seeing any party's motion to dismiss. And now that the defects in their claims have been pointed out, they repeatedly fall back on a request for leave to amend yet another time. Yeah, but they did so voluntarily.
I don't know I don't understand that.
Well, they self-corrected. They don't want to waste the court's time with what they knew was an incomplete complaint.
Okay.
So they just added additional facts, and they did so voluntarily. They got the court's permission to do that so as to not have to go through what they knew were going to be inevitable motions. Now they're bringing a 12b6 motion here. Now we're actually litigating the issue. And so just because they did it once, it's not the same as they've been asked multiple times by the court to amend and they still can't get it right. And so it's not going to have them saying that they know this isn't going to work. They're not spending a lot of time on it, but that's what they're trying to argue. They shouldn't have more than 2 bites at the apple, basically.
Okay.
The Wayfair parties have not moved for leave to amend or complied with Local Rule 15.1, rendering their bare request to amend in a brief and proper. In any event, their request is meritless because a plaintiff must provide some indication of the substance of the contemplated amendment before a court can entertain the request. And nowhere do the Wayfair parties say what facts they could allege to cure the defects in the FAC or why they could have not have alleged those facts in either of their 2 prior complaints. Well, because they've asserted that they have enough already. And if the court wants additional facts, then they can. And I'm guessing if the judge really wanted a offer of proof for additional facts, he would ask them for it.
Okay.
But he's not just going to dismiss. In the absence of any identification of how a further amendment would improve upon the complaint, leave to amend must be denied as futile. Oh, shut up. All right.
Okay.
And with that,
That was it, yeah.
who's Michael Gottlieb signed it, huh?
Yep. Right there.
Who is like the 1L over here?
The 1L. What does that mean?
Like the first, not no. Well, that's
Like the new
the first year, the first year attorney, not 1L. 1L refers to like a law student, the first year in law student. Who's the first or second year attorney that wrote this? It's got to be. I don't know who Kristen Bender is. Gavernsky? No, couldn't be. I don't know, man. I'm willing to venture that Gottlieb really did not write this. It was an associate.
But like, why would you put your name on it then?
It's his
If it
firm. He's
sucks.
attorney on record. He kind of has to.
He does?
I mean, I
See,
guess not.
I don't know how these things work. I don't know if that's required or not. So
I
like,
guess not. I don't know, man. Maybe they just didn't give a shit about it.
maybe
don't
he's
know.
too busy with the Drake case, yeah?
Maybe. I don't know. So what is my impression of this motion? Actually, I thought that it was less infuriating than their original 12b6.
It was a
The
lot less
original.
insulting, I felt like.
Yeah, it was a lot less showy and a lot less for PR purposes. No, I don't think, Brigitte, that this is Ryan Reynolds. I don't think this is him. I think that Ryan Reynolds might have been more behind the original 12b6, but this really looks like a paralegal like got some. They told some paralegal, "Hey, do some research to oppose this motion," and they probably jumped on ChatGPT or whatever and try to come up with something. But it's so. I don't think they fact checked it. They didn't check their cases. Like the law is just flat out wrong in 80% of it. There's some cogent arguments here and there, but it's a pile of hot garbage. I graded a D. How about that?
D for delightful.
D for delightful. All right, folks, that's all I got. I spent. How long did you spend on when you went over this one?
Oh, like less than 40 minutes, dude.
It took me 90 minutes to get through this shit
Yeah, well,
because of how just bad it was. Oh.
that
Anyway.
and I kept derailing you, but that's fine too.
In my defense, this was my first read of the whole thing. I had not looked at this. I was just I was winging it this evening with my friend Lauren, who is are you wearing reading glasses? Oh my goodness gracious.
No, I'm not there yet. I'm wearing blue
That's
light
what 34 years old will do for you.
Hey, I'm 32. God, we've been over this. I'm not 34 yet.
All right, folks. Hey, Lauren, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for allowing me to force you.
Please do not let me miss the gingerbread roasting
That'll be
watch
Saturday.
party. All right. I will make time for you on Saturday. I would have been for there. I was going to do it with you tonight, but you said, no, we're doing this. I was like, okay.
No, because this came out, so I was like, oh shit, I got it. Because none of my friends were available to help, so it was just me watching David and Steve and Rachel, and I was just like, this is sad without someone else to joke with. So then I stopped after half an hour and did this, and then now here I am. So,
well, Brigitte wants to know what is the smoke next to you? It has gone nonstop. It's like a oil diffuser. It smells delicious, by the way.
He's farting.
Yeah, totally. No, I bought these essential oils, and I had my daughter pick the scent. I have like I got like all these cool flavors like teakwood and sandalwood and cedar. The one she chose was a marshmallow. So
I was about to say, I don't know what any of those other things mean, but marshmallow is cool.
They're like they're wood. Here, look, here's campfire. Campfire is delightful.
You could pick anything in this world, sir, and you picked campfire.
It came in a set. Eliza Little with the $10. Thank you so much. Need a good laugh, and you delivered. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for the 10. I love you all, and I hope that you have a wonderful night. Lauren, get your rest, and just remember your North Star for tonight is if under any circumstances you feel compelled to run outside of your house, just make sure that you have your clothes on, is all I ask. Also, don't talk to the cops.
Then, I wouldn't get a trip to jail for free. You know?
All right, folks. I love you all. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.